Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Stubble Talk podcast. My name is Ben, and as you can probably see, I'm all alone. So, what I wanted to do today was set up a little bit of how the podcasts are going to work, what the structure will be like, and then what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about what I actually wanted to speak about today, which is medication. So, how the podcast series is going to work moving forwards is I will be doing a podcast every week. However, it will be an interview every other week, and then a solo podcast like today the other week of every other week. So it will be an interview and then a solo and then an interview and a solo. Hopefully that makes sense and I haven't just butchered what every other week means too poorly. The reason for that is because I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. I know that don't know enough people to record an episode with someone else every single week. But also I wanted to make sure that this is sustainable, that this is for the long run, and I can't do that if I try to interview someone every single week. I just think I would get burnt out too quickly. And I'm trying to be really aware of my own mental health while I make this podcast series. These podcasts will be a little bit shorter. I don't quite know the exact length until I probably finish this one. But they'll definitely be shorter and will be more talk about my own experience, giving a little bit of advice about how I've handled things and hopefully helping to change the stigma around some of these kind of difficult subjects, which may or may not come up in conversations. Like I said, by doing it in this rhythm, it will hopefully allow to not have too much pressure on myself or in Stumble Talk as a whole. It's something which I feel like I'm actually doing quite well at the moment. I definitely am someone, as I've said before, who puts a lot of pressure on themselves. And as you may or may not have noticed, there was no episode last week. That's because I was really ill. Um, don't think it was COVID, but it was this just horrible flu thing, which my girlfriend got. I thought I avoided, and then I got. So I was off of work for 3 days last week, and then was not 100%. So I had to wait because that's kind of how life goes. Like I said, today I wanted to talk about medication. So as I've said before, I really struggled with my mental health from the age of about 13 and didn't really know what was going on in my head. When I first actually started to talk about my mental health, I was adamant that I didn't want to go onto medication. I also didn't go see a doctor. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I would highly recommend that if you're struggling with your mental health, go talk to a professional who can actually give you some advice. I was really stubborn. I thought that I could fix myself. I thought that I could get over the slump that I was in, or don't know if you can really call it a slump when it's your mental health poorly affected for well over half of your life. But hey, that was how I thought about it. It was about 4 years after admitting that something was wrong with my own mental health before I actually went and saw a doctor. It's kind of crazy looking back. I can't believe that actually took me so long. I don't know if it was because I thought I could get a handle on it myself or because I was just quite stubborn and so therefore said, hey, I can do this by myself. But in um, the summer of 23, so last year, I went to the doctor for the first time and said, I think I need some help. I was not really struggling with my depression, but my anxiety has always been probably the thing that I think has fueled my depression. I've always found that I feel really anxious about situations, that I completely avoid situations. If it's been a while since I've spoken to someone, I find it really hard to reconnect because I feel anxious about it. Um, and then that anxiety then just kind of builds, and then I then make stupid decisions because of anxiety, which then get me into a situation where then depression then starts to build up, and then we go down a bit of a hole. So I wasn't struggling, but I was very aware that my mental health could be better. And so I went to the doctor and I was really honest. I said, I don't think that I feel super depressed, but I think I was quite aware that I was doing everything in my ability to try to make myself feel better. I was looking after my mental health pretty well. I was, going to the gym. I was eating a balanced diet, and I was doing all of the things that I thought I could reasonably do to look after myself. And I still felt anxious a lot of the time. And I thought that that was then the perfect time to actually go to the doctor and ask if there was anything more I could do. I was quite open to actually now exploring medication and seeing if that made a difference. And long story short, I think it has. So the doctor put me onto a 10 milligram tablet of, I'm going to read it because I can never actually pronounce it, escitalopram. If you know, then you know. But yeah, I went onto a 10 milligram tablet. As you can see, I'm still on them now. And something which I think is really important for people to actually be aware of is the transition onto antidepressants and things that help with anxiety is really tough. I was not aware going into it how much I was gonna be kicked, I suppose, by the medication. When I first started on the medication about 2 weeks in, I was so low. I was having probably the lowest mood swings that I'd had in quite a while. I was really struggling with getting up and moving and feeling like myself. I was getting quite upset. I couldn't get up out of bed and wasn't eating. Those are all normally signs that I'm struggling. And there was nothing that was causing it. It was just a side effect of the tablets. And my doctor had said to me that this was probably going to happen. And I was like, yeah, sure, okay. Didn't really think too much about it. But actually, once I started on them, it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I'm so lucky. I had an incredible support network around me. My girlfriend was incredible. My friends were incredible and really looked after me. And the days when I couldn't get out of bed, when I couldn't cook, when I couldn't talk, when I just needed to cry, people were there. And yeah, I feel so blessed to have the people around me who I had and have. Lows probably lasted for about 2 weeks on and off. I probably had a low day like once or twice a week at the kind of the extreme lows. But then after about 2 weeks, it got better. I think the chemicals start to balance out is probably if that's the technical term, but it sounds right in my head. So once your brain and the tablets start normalizing out, I suppose, I started to feel better. I started to feel more like myself. And so I've been on these tablets for 11 months. Wow. And I've tried coming off of them. I did it really slowly. And I noticed that my anxiety came back. I felt quite anxious. I started to feel like old Ben again, which I didn't really want to do. For me, these tablets have taken the edge off my anxiety. I still feel anxious. It's something I battle with every single day still. However, it meant that life was just a lot easier. Everything just felt a bit more livable and didn't feel like such a battle, which, when it's something you struggle with every single day, was such a blessing to to not experience in such the same way. I have a review next month, so I was prescribed to them for a year to see how we got on, and yeah, I've got a review to see how it's been. And I suppose this is me actually kind of doing a bit of a how has it been 1 year check-in, and for me, they've worked. They've made such a difference in my life. The other big thing you probably won't be able to see too well, if you are watching this in the video form, but I did not realize that I subconsciously, anxiously have bitten my nails. I did not realize that subconsciously and anxiously have bitten my nails every day since I was like 13, which is mad. And it was only about 2 or 3 months into taking my medication that I looked down, or I like scratched myself and I went, how? And I went, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I was doing that or had been doing that, or that was a symptom of my anxiety. And now I clean my nails every day. It's such a weird and refreshing thing to do. But it's something that I now actually really enjoy, and is kind of like my little reminder every day of actually I'm really in control of my anxiety and my depression and my mental health. And for me, it's just such a little win. And I think when we're talking about mental health and we're talking about battles with our mental health, it's finding those little wins and finding those little things to go, hey, you know what? I have got this and I am in control and things are okay. And so for me, my fingernails, which is such a small thing, is such a massive thing for me. Like I said, this episode isn't going to be a 50-minute spectacle. It's not going to, might not be full of lots of gold, but what I want to do in these episodes is just talk about stuff from my own personal opinion and my own personal experience, and hopefully someone out there, whether you've thought about medication or you've been on medication or you've never thought about medication or you know someone who is on medication or is considering it, hopefully this video helps. I want to keep on trying to talk about things that I've never heard spoken about. I've never listened to a podcast or watched a video where someone just openly talks about taking mental health medication. The only thing I've ever seen was a documentary on BBC One, I think it was Roman Kemp, where he talked about how he's taken a tablet every day for most of his life, and that helps. And I think that was actually something which really inspired me to go to a doctor and reach out and see if that would help. And for me, it has. I think that's all I really wanted to share today. I'm really excited for next week's episodes to be talking to my incredible friend Jade all about mental health. I know it's going to be such an incredible episode. Make sure you subscribe, whether that's on the podcast platform you might be listening to, or YouTube, or follow me on all of the social media platforms, so that when that episode releases, you'll be able to hear it. I plan to release these episodes every single Wednesday, and they'll be out hopefully around 6 a.m. so you can then listen to it on your way to work or wherever it is you're going. And the good thing is with these short ones, they don't take up all of your day. But I just wanted to say a massive thank you to every single person who has reached out, shared, messaged, and just been so kind. This can be really hard sometimes. And I know that talking about mental health and sharing experiences around mental health can be really challenging. And all I want to do is share my experiences, help some other people to share theirs, and hopefully one person listens, takes something away, and realizes that they're not alone in whatever it is that is going on in their mind, whether that is feelings of depression or a way in how they deal with something. So again, just a massive thank you, and I'll see you next time.